to another edition of the Crenshaw Corner. As always, I am Sanchez Crenshaw, and I'm joined by the most beautiful, wonderful, joyous little chocolatey woman that I know.
What is going on, family? What is going on? I am Angela Crenshaw. What is going on, people?
That's my wife, people.
Happy Friday. Actually, happy Good Friday.
That's my wife, people.
Yes, I am. It's Good Friday, baby. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday to you, too.
Yes. Yes.
Good Friday to you all.
Yes.
And as always, let's go ahead and get the housekeeping out of the way.
You sweeping already?
Already sweeping. Got to sweep real quick.
Go sweep. Go sweep. Go sweep.
So for our new listeners, we thank you for tuning in to your first episode of Crenshaw Corner.
Thank you, guys.
For our returning listeners, as always, we thank you for being a part of our journey.
Snap. Y'all be returning. Yes.
You be returning. We're going to go with that. You be returning. We're going to go with that today.
You be returning.
So we thank you guys.
Thank you, guys.
As we always say, we are an interactive podcast. What that means, you can find us on the socials. We are on Twitter. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook, all under Crenshaw Corner.
Crenshaw Corner.
And then as you can also email us at thecrenshawcorner
Yeah,
at gmail.com.
say the like you normally do.
Thecrenshawcorner at gmail.com.
I like it.
We love hearing from you guys. We love your feedback. We just love your energy. And we just thank you for being a part of what we do.
Thank you, guys. We appreciate you.
So we are almost wrapping up. I think we're what?
6 in.
6 in.
This is the 6th.
So second to the last episode of this particular series.
Yes.
We are doing a series on self-care.
Yeah.
So if you're not quite sure what we're talking about, I'm not going to tell you. Go do your homework. Go back and listen to the previous
episode. Please go back and listen. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Rate us, whatever you want to do.
Rate us, critique us.
Yes.
If you're being negative just for the sake of being negative, keep that to yourself.
It's okay. Go ahead and put it down. We'll catch you. We'll catch you outside.
Catch me outside. How
catch
about
me
that?
outside. Catch me outside.
Don't young people still saying that? Catch me outside.
I don't
How
know
about
if
that?
they still say that, though.
I don't even know.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So once again, family, we just thank you for being a part of what we do. So as like I said, we are coming to the tail end of our series on self-care.
Yeah.
So we're on the 6th facet of self-care, which is
spiritual self-care.
Spiritual self-care.
It is amazing how when we started this whole self-care session, what did you call it?
A series.
I
like session too, but
session series. We didn't know that what we are living with right now.
We had no idea this was going to be our future at that time.
Right, exactly. And it's kind of like every single time that we do one, it kind of goes with what's happening in our time, because our time is changing so quickly. So for us to do this
rapidly,
a couple of days before Sunday, which is Easter.
Yep.
And also for it to be Good Friday.
It is Good Friday.
Right on time. So
I think so too.
So yeah, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about it.
The stars lined up. The stars lined up, and we're ready to go.
The star what?
The stars lined up.
The stars lined up?
That on Good Friday.
Yeah.
2 days before Easter.
Right.
Our self-care is spiritual self-care.
Yeah. So since you're talking about the stars, let me ask you a question.
Talk to me.
Just asking. I can't remember if you did it because I fell asleep. So, a couple of days ago was supposed to be the wonderful pink moon.
The pink moon, yeah.
The pink moon. Did you go outside?
I did not. I don't go outside.
I think it was like 10:30 at night.
That was too late. It's past my bedtime.
So you didn't go outside because I fell asleep.
I didn't go outside.
Okay. So did anybody go outside and see the pink moon?
The pink moon, the clovers, the green clovers, the Lucky Charms.
You know what? I can't with you right now. But anyway.
No,
never mind.
All right.
So back to spiritual. Because when you said that, just kind of made me think of that. But anyway,
got you.
I digress. I'm back though.
Okay, it's okay.
You see me back.
Every once in a while we go down a rabbit hole.
Yes, I'm trying not to go this time. I'm trying to stay clear.
So Angela.
Yes.
What is spiritual self-care?
Why you can't answer that?
Because this was your idea, man.
All I said we were gonna do spiritual self-care, and let's go with it.
The whole self-care concept was yours from the
beginning. It was, but you don't know the meaning of what spiritual self-care is.
Dog.
Bruh.
Not right now.
Bruh.
Right
okay.
Now. We trying to be joyous.
So we doing spiritual self-care.
Yes.
So I feel the need to be calm.
Well, then that's what I'm trying to do, and you trying to bring me out my chi.
No, I'm trying to get you, bring in your chi.
Yeah, okay,
you feel
man.
good? Yeah.
Yeah, I'll meditate
later. Basically, spiritual self-care for me, my thought process is...
I'm sorry. Hold on. Hold on.
What?
I know we're not a visual medium. So the family have no idea what just happened. But we're talking about spiritual self-care and you mimic someone running. I don't understand because we're not talking about, we've already done physical self-care. We've already touched on exercise, how to get your body right.
Yeah, you're right.
Mind, body, soul.
Yeah.
But you said spiritual self-care, and then you start moving your body and your arms like you're running.
That's like we running in the church. My God.
Help me understand.
My God. You know how you run in the church? Because you about to give a word.
Is that what we're going to do right now?
we're gonna give a word today.
Wow.
We're gonna give a word. So that was my, see, you didn't even have to tell him that because that was my excited.
It threw me off.
I was excited.
Because once again, we're talking about spiritual
Okay. And
you start running.
Okay. So to me personally, I was gonna do it again, but because it's just coming in me. But anyway, spiritual care for me is self-care is where you connect with God. You spend time with God.
Right.
You utilize different ways to spend time with God. It's a connection, it's a memory, it's action, it's all those things to help you for you to lean in closer to God and spend time. Okay. So that's what I believe it to be. That's my, you guys think it's something else? Absolutely. Send it to us. We'll take it. But for me right now, what do you think spiritual self-care is?
For me, spiritual self-care, it's balance, as all things should be. I just recently watched Infinity War again and Endgame again. And to be honest, on my second and third viewing of it, I have a totally different perspective on Thanos now.
Do you really?
On what he was trying. Was Thanos an evil man? Yes, Thanos was an evil man. But however, his goals, what he was trying to accomplish, what he was trying to do, it's just, I have a different perspective on it. And the only reason I just said that because I mentioned balance. So for me, spiritual self-care is a balancing act. It's balance. It's because regardless of whatever your belief system is, regardless of who you believe in, what you don't believe in, there has to be some type of spiritual connection within you for you to be aligned, for you to be balanced, for you not to sway one way or the other, not to be too up or too down, because either one can be self-destructive. If someone is too up all the time, then once you do come down, it's deadly. If you're too down so there has to be a balance. So for me, spiritual self-care is finding that balance, that mind, body, and soul balance, that understanding that there is something in this world bigger than self.
Yeah, higher than you.
And I think a lot of the times, because a lot of where our depression comes from, a lot of where our sadness comes from, a lot of our anxiety comes from, a lot of our misunderstanding of the situation, not even necessarily talking about corona, but just on a day-to-day basis,
right?
Because we're in a mindset of self.
We can do it.
That
it's all up to us.
Yeah, that we are the sun of our solar system,
right? And we control
where everything revolves around us. For me, spiritual self-care is having that self-awareness and understanding that there is something bigger than self. That everything does not revolve around self, and everything cannot be done within my own might,
right?
Or within a person's own might. There has to be a helping hand,
right?
That comes in. There has to be what's the word I want to use? There has to be an epiphany, for lack of a better term, to give you new perspective.
Right.
There has to be a test of faith to give you and provide you with new faith
and hope.
Because yesterday's faith won't take you through tomorrow's problems. So your faith has to be tested. It has to be renewed. It has to be fortified. So it's the same as the analogy of going into a gym. If you're a person that work out, every day you go into the gym, you're working out every day, but you're only lifting 10 pounds.
Right.
No more, no less. You're only lifting 10 pounds. You're not going to get any stronger because you're not testing your might. The only way you get stronger is by increasing your weight, going from 10 to 15 to 20 to 30, so on and so forth. So with spiritual self-care, the only way you become more healthier and stronger spiritually is that your spirituality and your faith has to be tested.
Right. And you have to lean into it. I mean, everybody know that we're Christians, so our faith and our higher for us is Jesus Christ, is God. And so you have to believe that, and you have to lean into it. And I think with spiritual health care, it allows you,
self-care.
Helps you, spiritual self-care. So what did I say?
Healthcare.
healthcare, spiritual healthcare. Oh
It's
my
okay.
gosh. Spiritual self-care helps you lean into that higher power, helps you lean into God, helps you lean into that, like you said, and then that balance you. When you do that, some reason, not for some reason, but I know that your day is better. You feel like you can, like you said, that you can go on, that your mind, body, and spirit is connected and aligned for you to go on. And when you feel like you can't go on, you know that you have a place to lean into every time to help you carry on. So yeah, it was good. I like it. I like it.
Not, of course, a lot of what we talk about is in general terms because every situation doesn't apply for everyone.
Exactly. It's general.
It's general. However, I have noticed in my 42 years of living, how I start my day, most of the time dictates how my day is going to end. Now, it's not all the time. Sometimes there are some shifts, but typically how you start your day is how you kind of continue your day. Case in point, if you start your day agitated, you're waking up late, you find yourself rushing, you're running late for an appointment, you're running late for work, what have you. You find yourself rushing throughout that day because you spend your entire day trying to make up time. Or your body, because you started your day on a rush.
Okay.
Your body is already in that rush mode, so you're rushing throughout your day.
Right.
Flip side of that, if you start your day in a calm manner, if you got up a little earlier, you meditated, you prayed, you did a devotion, you did something to feed your soul or something to feed your inner man. And when I say man, I'm speaking in the general of mankind, human. Of course, when I say man, I mean women as well. But when you start in a meditative state, when you start your day praying, when you start your day speaking to your higher power, when for us, like we said, when we start the day praying and seeking God,
Jesus,
and seeking Jesus and praying in His name, we find our day going so much smoother. Now, it doesn't mean that we still don't have problems throughout that day.
Right.
Because I think what happens a lot of times, because we're talking about spirituality and we're talking about spiritual self-care, so we're going to touch on a lot of different things when it comes to that. But I think what happens is, especially like for new Christians or people who really don't quite understand what it means to be a Christian or what it is to be, or what Christianity is, you think just because, okay, I prayed for that day, that means nothing bad is coming my way.
Right.
And that's not what it means at all. What it means is that you prayed that day, you already made that connection, you're already doing that conversation. So throughout your day, when those bad things do come up, you're a little more fortified to be able to handle that situation. Where a situation come up and it might blindside you or make you frantic because you spent that first part of your day in prayer, you spent that first part of your day in meditation, you're a little more equipped to handle. Am I making sense?
Make a lot of sense. Here's the thing. When you were talking, it made me remind me of meditation.
Okay.
When you meditate, majority of the time when you meditate, most meditation teachers give you a mantra or give you something. And then they say to you, like, for instance, for me, when I meditate, my mantra of my word is shalom, which means peace.
Right.
And so what they teach you is when you feel distracted, when you feel agitated, when you feel like your mind is going all over the place, like, the core to get back is to whatever your mantra, whatever your word was. So when you're, like you're saying, so whenever you spend time with the Lord, you spending time with Him, you know the God, you're doing everything you need to do, it goes crazy. Like meditation, they always tell you, go back to your core. So like when you're distracted, they say when you feel distracted, feel like you're going all over the place in your mind, go back to shalom.
Right.
And keep saying shalom over and over again, and it brings you back to your core, it brings you back to your meeting, brings you back to what you were doing. And that's kind of like what you're saying. It's basically when you start your day that way and things are going to get crazy. But when you go back to the core, when you go back to your mantra for the day,
right,
it centers you back to what it's really all about.
And maybe that's why meditation really doesn't work for me. Well, I'm not going to say it doesn't work. What I'm going to say is that, because all honesty, I haven't been able to fully incorporate meditation into my life on a substantial scale where it actually benefits me. And maybe that's why, because my mantra, because while you're saying shalom, peace, I'm saying pizza. And maybe that's why. Because I'm thinking of a slice of pizza.
Because you're, but this is the part where you understand, you don't turn your mind off.
Right.
Your mind is always going, bruh. Pizza. Anyway, we'll deal with that off
saying.
the mic.
I'm just
but
saying.
anyway, but It's okay to think of pizza, but then go back to your core. It's okay to have an agitating day, and as long as you don't stay there and be like, okay, she's about to aggravate me. Let me take a minute to pray. Lord, help me.
Right.
God, help me. God, give me wisdom. Because now you're taking it back to the core, to the mantra, to the heart of the thing, because you know how to do that, because you've already geared yourself up for the morning. It's like going out and know that it's storming and don't put on a coat, don't put on a raincoat, no umbrella, nothing, and to know why you're sick and you're drenched because you didn't cover yourself before you walked out the door. And I think that that's what we're talking about. That morning thing that you do, that prayer, that meditation time, and you can do it in your car. There's no real place that you need to do it at. But the thing is to be covered before you walk out the door. Okay. And then if it's crazy, know where your strength is, and it doesn't lie in you.
All right. So let me play the other side for a moment.
Play whatever side you want.
You and I do really well at good cop, bad cop. Typically, I'm bad cop.
Ask the
typically
kids.
Always good cop.
Who? Wait, what you say?
I said typically I'm always bad cop. Typically always good cop.
Oh, okay. Because I thought you said I was bad cop.
No, you're the good cop.
Okay,
you're the good cop.
I was like, now don't be lying to nobody. Don't lie to the family. Anyway, the family wouldn't have. If you would have said that, the family would be like, no way, because they know me, they know you. It wouldn't have been believable.
So here's my thing. In the climate that we're in right now, in a very uncertain time,
right?
Uncertain health, uncertain economically. There are so many unanswered questions right now. There's so much going on. There's so many people who are sick. There's so many people who are being affected by the coronavirus, by COVID-19 and everything that's going on. There's been so many lives that have been lost to this particular virus.
Yeah.
So my thing, speaking from the other side, how dare you come to me now talking about spirituality when all this stuff is going on? Where in the world can God be in all this? With all, there's so much death, there's so much uncertainty, there's so much going wrong right now. That's okay. I think the last number that I heard was 6.3 million Americans right now that are currently unemployed due to what's going on.
Okay.
So how do you talk about prayer? How do you talk about meditation? How do you talk about centering yourself when I can't even leave my house right now?
Here's the thing. Everything that you just said been going on every day, all the time. People are dying. People are killing each other. People are getting sick. People losing their jobs. You see what I'm saying? That's on an everyday basis. That's not something that, yes, because we see it so much because it is huge out there.
Right.
But we've had this type of virus come years before. You see what I'm saying? And so it's not brand new. So I understand when people say, talk about spirituality, sit down, meditate about, and all those things. But how has it been working for you since you're doing it on your own? How's it working? Do you feel better when you're watching the news so much? When you hear all of those things? Have you been feeling better? Since you're doing it on your own and everything, and you're watching everything that's moving around you, and how is it working for you? So my thing is that you have to have a hope in something. You have to have a belief in something. You cannot drench yourself in this information. We are such an information world, and it's not that it's not happening, because again, I don't know if you guys have heard before, but it has touched our family several times since this has happened in different ways. So I'm not immune to it. I'm not like, I haven't cried a tear. I have not been on my knees praying about it. But what I do know for sure is I know in my heart that there's something bigger at work than just me. And do I listen to this every single day of my life? It's like being at a job where your boss is telling you every single day that you're not good enough. Your work is not good enough. What did you do? Where's the report? Why are you always like, no matter how hard you try, and you keep listening to that until after a while you begin to believe that, and you become numb to that until one day you have a made up mind to say, I'm not listening to him no more. Matter of fact, I'm quitting the job, number one. I have a made up mind. I know that I'm better, and there's something more in me than he believes in me. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
The same thing there's more good. There's so many people that have been healed from it. So many people that have walked out miraculously from it. That's what I'm talking about. And that's because you have to have a connection. We can't do so much negative stuff. This world is going to do what it's going to do. It's going to always evolve. Again, family being unemployed, that's hit our family. That's hit family members that we know. Right. But we still cannot focus on that. Be aware of it. Grieve it, but don't live at it. Grieve it. Go to the cemetery, grieve it, put dirt on it, and then walk away. And I think that is so difficult for us to move beyond that because we are so busy watching for every statistic, waiting for the next person to die, waiting to hear something different. And it's not that it's not happening. New York, I pray for New York like never before. I believe God is going to put a miraculous healing blanket over New York City because it's hit. New York is hit, one of the biggest places being hit. Louisiana is another one. I think Jersey. So there's some places that are being hit like never before, but we're in North Carolina. And I think that I don't want people not to feel the way that they're feeling, but I'm just saying don't stay there because the more you do, you get anxious and anxious. And the more people that keep listening to that and feel like there's more people walking around here thinking they have it right now that don't even have it.
Right.
It's allergy season. You know what I'm saying? But we've heard it so long. If you get this, if you get that, if you get this, if you get that, that you may have it. So our mind is going crazy. So we have to believe. And anyway, because we're spirit in a human body, our spirit man, if you let it, is gonna come up and rise up whether you like it or not. I don't care if you believe or don't believe, your spirit man is going to rise up in you anyway, So I'm not saying don't feel the way you think. I'm just saying don't live there. Don't stay there. Believe that there's something bigger than this. And don't listen to all the negativity. Go find out them same statistics. Go find out, tell me how many people have survived. How many people have lived. How many people still have their job. How many people who have lost their job finding other ways and means to make money. We are resourceful human beings. God has just made us this way. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so I'm not looking past it. I'm just saying looking forward what we can do and not just stay in it. You know?
No, everything you said to me makes perfect sense. So I got a question for you.
Yeah.
What's the starting point? Because every journey, there's a starting point.
Yeah.
I believe it's Confucius. If I get it wrong, I apologize. But it's the old saying of, how do you eat an elephant? And it's one bite at a time.
One small bite at a time.
Yeah. So my question is for the individual because there's two different type of people that we're talking to right now.
Okay.
Maybe three. But there's the person who is a believer. And when I say a believer, I'm speaking of Christianity or speaking of faith, a faith believer who is a believer and they get what we're saying, but maybe their faith is a little tested right now. And then you have the person who is a non-believer who doesn't get the spiritual side of things, that maybe don't connect on a spiritual level, that, they don't see the bigger picture. They don't see there's something bigger, so let's talk to both sides. Let's start with tips. So for the faith believer who is being tested right now,
right?
What would you say to that person?
Well, first of all, my God, I think we're all being tested. I promise you, we're all being tested, and that's where the work goes in. That's where the leaning goes in. Like we were talking about the spiritual aspect of it, the spiritual self-care to lean in. I was listening to a pastor today, and he gave me an aha moment, and I was like, whoa, let me check my heart. Never trying to check anybody else's heart, but check my own heart.
Right.
And I can't think of his name. My girlfriend Keisha, shout out to Keisha. Thank you so much. She always gives us great stuff to listen to. But she said this is a phenomenal prayer. This pastor was praying. And so what he was saying is that for faith, because we're talking about faith believers. Right. And he was saying he knows that our faith is going to be tested, that our heart, every aspect of us is going to be tested, just like everybody else. Doesn't mean because we know the Lord, does not mean we won't be tested, because we will. The Bible shows that. But what he was saying, is don't get caught up, because most people saying that are Christians are like, oh, it's about me right now. I'm getting me together. I'm getting my finances together now. I'm getting my self-care together. I'm just getting me together and not tapping into the spiritual self-care part of it. And kind of what they're doing is kind of shying away, because this is something that we're not used to. We're not used to, if you don't have a church that already has service online, this is brand new for you.
You're not being able to go
to a physical church. And so some of them are shying away and saying, I don't want to do church online. I can't touch and agree from here. I can't touch my neighbor. So they kind of shine away from it. And he's saying, lean into this change. Lean in. If your church doesn't have it, then create it for your church, like lean in. Or people are saying, right now I don't have the community, my community, my people that I go to church with and that I go to dinner with after church. Then there's Zoom. You know what I'm saying? Even if you don't want to do Zoom, Facebook. You can put about 50 people on Facebook right now, FaceTime them, and have a whole bunch. So there's something, don't shy away from your routine because it doesn't look the way it used to look, because church is still happening. The church hasn't shut down because we are the church. I think that's where the confusion is coming in. We're the church, and people thinking because the doors are closed to a physical building at church, lean into what you've been doing.
It's just a physical building right now. The only thing that's closed regarding church is just a physical building.
Yeah, but lean in to church online. Incredible. Because first of all, you're supposed to be worshiping and praising even before you got to the church building. So the church building shouldn't give you the that you need, umph to get in there. It is where you have community and where you be with people of like minds, right? So you can Zoom your girlfriends, call your girlfriends, have Bible study with your girlfriends over the phone, read the same book, have a book study. Don't shy away and say it's my turn to just be about me and rest. No, don't change the routine of what you believe and what you've been doing spiritually, no matter what your religion is. Do not shy from that. Do not change.
Right.
That's what I would say to people who right now who are faith-based and saying it's not about you right now. This is where we really need you to lean in. This is where we really need community. This is where we really need Bible studies. This is where we really need friendships, Right. So that's, for me, that's what I would tell them.
All right, so let's move over to the other side of that, to the individuals who don't have the faith, who take this time to really take this time to say, see, I told you there can't be a God.
Right.
With all this going on, there's no way. If there was a God, a loving God, as you say, there's no way that he would allow this to be happening, or there's no way that so many people would be going through this. So for those people, to help them get to a point of that spiritual connection, to help them get their spiritual self-care process started, what would you say to them?
Well, the first thing I would say is to pray. Now, that's the thing. People think that prayer is so mysterious and spooky, but it's not. It's just talking. So you could take, if you want to just take a few minutes just to pray, and if you don't know how to pray, just speak. Speak your words. Speak what you're feeling out to God. Just speak it out. I think also meditation, again, sitting and being still. That is, that's my favorite thing. Sit and be still. Just take 10 minutes. Don't be trying to do, people like, I'll be in prayer and I'll be meditating for hours. Sit down somewhere. Everybody ain't doing that. Everybody ain't ready. So if you could take 3 minutes to sit down and just breathe in and breathe out, and breathe in and breathe out, right? And just spend time just sitting there and just say something quietly, a quiet prayer. Or if you want to go to the Bible and get a scripture, that's a prayer right there by itself. If whatever you're going through right now, if you want to start wherever you're going through, you can go in the Bible right now and you could put the word in anxious, and it will give you several, or go online and it will give you several scriptures for being anxious. And just grab hold of one, if this is how you want to start, and just pray that prayer every single morning. You get up for 3 minutes, you pray, you get up for 3 minutes, you meditate for 3 minutes, you breathe in, you breathe out, and maybe you just read that scripture, and you just start that way. And the more that happens, the more it will come to you. If that's not it, even this is for everybody, then praise and worship, right? Get you some music, put it on, praise and worship right where you are for 2 or 3 minutes, however that song is. There's so many things, and I will go into more tips, but there's so many things that you can do to lean in. It doesn't take all day. It doesn't take 40, 30 minutes. It could take just 5 or 6 minutes a day, or 3 minutes to even start that.
For me, I think it's a situation, and when I say this, once again, I am not trying to be flippant. I am not trying to minimize what's going on. I am not trying to undercut anyone's feelings regarding how they feel about this current situation. However, I think this is the perfect time because really you don't have any other choice but to be still right now. There's nothing to go to. All the restaurants are closed. All the movie theaters are closed. All the malls are closed. There's only so many times you can go to the supermarket. There's only so many times you can walk around the block. This is the perfect time to find your quiet, to find your stillness. This is the perfect time to find an anchor. Because for me also, I think that's what the key to spiritual self-care is, finding that anchor. And for those who don't understand what an anchor actually is, the anchor is a heavy metal block that they use on ships. When a ship does not want to move, it drops its anchor. Anchor sinks, hits the bottom of the ocean or wherever, and for that time where that anchor is there, that ship doesn't move, no matter what comes its way, no matter what storm, no matter how with the waves, no matter the wind. That ship doesn't move because it's anchored.
Yeah, but I'll say this too. I just want to add to this before you finish that. And even if whatever comes away, it may sway, it may even tilt, but it never moves.
It never moves.
It never moves.
It never changes position.
It never changes. It's just swaying a little bit.
It'll sway a little bit. It'll rock a little bit. It may get rocky on that ship, depending on what kind of storm. That ship may get wet. I mean, the inside of the ship may get wet. But however, the ship itself, the core itself does not move. It doesn't change position.
Yeah.
And that is and to simplify it as I possibly can, that is the point of spiritual self-care. Spiritual self-care is that anchor. It's that anchoring yourself that no matter what storm, unemployment, sickness, relationships breakups, whatever you're going through, it anchors you that, yes, once again, it does not stop the storm from coming. It does not prevent the storm. You get wet, you sway, you rock a little bit, but you don't move.
You might even get a little bit of seasick.
But you ain't moving. But you don't
You
move.
grounded on it.
And you're grounded.
Yeah.
And I think that's the key to spiritual self-care. That's why spiritual self-care, to me, is one of the most important ones as well. Because once you have that anchor, then, like I said, it doesn't stop your storms. It doesn't stop you from swaying. It doesn't stop you from getting seasick. But it does keep you. And it keeps you grounded. It keeps you in that place that you need to be. It just keeps you.
And it doesn't have to be something. And so I don't even want to talk about COVID anymore, but, and just, but it doesn't even have to be, that could be anything that's in your life. Because everybody has their own personal storm. Everybody has their own personal storm, thunderstorm. Like this morning, I was outside just praying and meditating, and the wind was so strong. Trees was bending. These trees was bending, but they never broke. That anchor, that core, their roots are so grounded in the ground. You know what I'm saying? So it'll bend, but it won't break. And so it doesn't matter. I'm sorry, guys, what it is, but just the care that you are giving yourself, and spiritual self-care is one of the major parts of it.
Because no matter where you are spiritually, and this is an old, I think it's not really a Southern Baptist, but Southern Baptist ministers use it a lot. There's only 3 type of people in this world. You're either going to a storm, you're either going through a storm, you're either coming out of a storm, or you're about to go into a storm.
Yes, sir.
But either way, there's going to be a storm.
Yeah.
So because whether you are, once again, you're either going through a storm, coming out of a storm, or about to go in a storm. That spiritual self-care is your anchor to get you through those storms.
And here's the thing. What we've been talking about is for everyday life. I believe that there's going to be so many lessons learned. And again, I don't even want to give way to COVID anymore. So let's just talk about some tips and stuff like that. Let's get into the tip scenario. Some of the tips. So let's just talk about that for a few minutes. Let's just get that going. So let's see. Let's talk about, backtrack. What have you been doing spiritually as far as your self-care before I even get to, what have you been doing?
For me, it's staying connected. We come from a church that actually gives us the ability to stay connected with the church.
Right.
Even though it's not a physical body, it's not a physical location right now, through online meetings, through online worship experiences. So that's part of what I've been doing, staying connected, because we volunteer. So our volunteer leaders, our volunteer coordinators through the church, our staff leaders, staying in contact with them.
Yeah.
do find myself. I'll be honest. I'm not praying as much as I should.
Okay.
But I am praying to help my spiritual self care.
Yeah.
And I'm not reading as much as I should, but I'm getting back into reading as well. Reading
Right.
more of my Bible.
Right.
Finding devotionals to read.
Right.
Actually, YouVersion.
YouVersion.
YouVersion
Woo,
is a beautiful thing.
YouVersion. If you
Yeah.
get the YouVersion app
if you're
on your phone.
If you're not familiar with YouVersion, it is
Oh, my goodness.
It is a free Bible app. It gives you, of course, all different translations of the Bible. It gives you, also what it gives you is book studies
And plans.
and reading plans.
Yes.
So if you're a person that doesn't, if the Bible seems overwhelming to you and you never know where to start,
right.
I would suggest that you find a Bible plan.
Yes.
Pick the topic that you want to read
for your
about.
heart.
Because the easiest way to read the Bible is always start from where you are. Here's what I mean by that. What are you looking for at that moment when you're about to go into the Bible? Are you looking for peace? Are you looking for understanding? What are you looking for? Are you anxious and try not to be anxious? What are you looking for? So you find a plan, a Bible reading plan,
Yes.
centered around what you're looking for,
Yeah.
and then that's your starting point. So
Yeah. No, I'm saying, I'm just saying, I love it. Go ahead.
So those are kind of some of the things I've been doing to help with my spiritual self-care. What about you?
And even when you were just saying that too, in the devotions on YouVersion, there's a devotion where it gives you verbiage, and then it gives you about 4 or 5 different scriptures to tack on to. So when I'm giving you this tip right now about meditate on a scripture, I'm telling you that you can do the YouVersion, and that's a phenomenal way for spiritual self-care. Talking about praying and fasting, I'm huge on that. Praying and fasting. I'm not praying, spending 10 minutes praying, fasting is abstinence from food or juice or drink. It can be from social media. So you can choose what kind of fasting that you want to do. But that's another thing that I believe that I do personally when I'm going through.
Let's touch on that for a moment.
Yeah.
Because I'm actually glad.
Yes.
I'm glad you brought up fasting.
I say, yeah.
One of the things about fasting that I just want to make clear is that fasting is not a diet.
Come on now.
There's one thing from if you're about to have a medical procedure and they tell you not to eat.
And intermittent fasting.
And they use the term fasting.
Or intermittent fasting.
Or if you're 10 pounds overweight, so you want to fast to try to. No, that's not what we're talking about. That's dieting.
Right.
That's not eating. That's not what we're talking about. Fasting is actually sacrificial.
Yeah.
Fasting is taking away something, but in its place, you're replacing it with more time with God. You're replacing it so that the time that you would have been eating, you're praying. Now you're meditating. Now you're worshiping. Now you're having a constant conversation with God. So understand when we talk about fasting, we're not talking about just not eating.
Right.
Because fasting is so much deeper and has so much of a more spiritual connection than simply just depriving yourself of food.
Right. It's so much. And so I want you guys, anybody who wants more about praying and fasting, go and look into that. But definitely getting up early in the morning before everybody else, if you can, 4 or 5 minutes before everybody else, if that's all you have, and just pray and find a scripture. And just like I said before, read that scripture. Meditate on that scripture all day. Let it be your anchor. Also, same thing with meditating. Getting up early before everybody, or when everybody go to bed, do it afterwards, and meditating for a few minutes. Again, it doesn't have to be a long period of time, but meditate. Spend time on that scripture. Spend time if you give it a mantra of shalom, which means peace, or whatever, a word that will bring you back to your center whenever you get distracted inside of your meditation. So that's another good one. Praise and worship and music. Oh my goodness. Now, of course, Sanchez says, I don't like music.
My wife does not like music. She really doesn't.
But praise and worship, like if I listen, I could do some praise and worship, and that's another thing. So that's another spiritual self-care that you can do around the house. Just put on some praise and worship and just praise God as you cleaning. As you dusting it. I mean, it doesn't have to be you just sit there and be the hands in the air. You can move around about the earth and do praise. Just have it engulf your home. You know what I'm saying? Let it take over, saturate your walls.
And family, here's the thing. God is not as spooky as we try to make him out to be. It doesn't have to be the you've lit 50 candles, you have the harp playing, you have the
piano in the background,
you have the druid monks in the back. It doesn't have to be that.
No.
It's simply okay. and I'm gonna go back to something you said earlier because you touched on prayer. Because I know there are actual Christians who are Bible reading, Bible toting, can quote every scripture in the Bible, who are uncomfortable with prayer, who will not pray out loud, or who won't pray in a public setting because they feel like they don't know how to pray. So if we have Christians who feel that way, then I know we have the individuals who have not found God yet for themselves, who are like, nah, prayer's not. I don't even know where to begin with that. Here's the thing about prayer. Prayer is a conversation. It is really just that. It is a respectful conversation. Understand that first, because it's the same concept of that you're sitting down and you're having a conversation with someone that has more authority than you do. So anytime you are having a conversation with someone that has more authority than you do, you're always going to have a reverence for that person. You're always going to have a respect for that person. So when you're praying, it's having a respectful, reverence conversation with God. It's just talking to him. It's telling him about what's going on. It's telling him about what you need. And it's really, he already knows that, but he wants to hear it from you.
Yeah.
And he wants you to come to him and say, Father, this is what I'm going through. This is what I need. I'm giving it to you. Yeah. Because that's really at the essence of what prayer is. Prayer, it's taking your request to God, making it known, giving it to him, allowing him to take care of the situation for you, and not really, it's not magical. It's not him you say, God, I'm hungry, and a cheeseburger appear in front of you.
He's not a genie.
Yeah, he's not a genie. And if you're looking for that, then unfortunately I'm here to disabuse you of that, because that's not going to happen. It's a situation where you're telling God, this is what I'm going through. And what he does is that he gives you the ability to deal with what you're going through, and then he gives you a different perspective on how to deal with it. And then what he'll do is he'll bring different things around to alleviate that situation. That makes sense?
Yeah, babe, it makes sense. I think that you just got to know that you have to have your own prayer life. That's the bottom line. Having your own prayer life. Having your own relationship, it's all individual.
Right.
It's all individual. So all we're doing is just giving you tips, because it's all individual. Another thing, spiritual self-care too, is acts of kindness. Be good to people. Write a letter to somebody. Just recently, my brother wrote me a letter and mailed it to me, and I was so excited to have it. And I opened it up, and all the letter said was, "I love you, Malik." That was it. No more, no less. That act of kindness, writing notes, send thank you cards. This is a great time to send thank you cards to people.
Yes, it is.
This is a great time to write letters to people, tell them that you love them, that you appreciate them. This is a great time if you want to send dinner to people. I just think acts of kindness. Like, we've even had our church family member, our pastor, send us dinner. Had dinner delivered to us. So I think that's another kindness, because not only but you're being good to someone, you're helping someone. I think that's always going to be good for your spiritual self. It's going to always be phenomenal. Just be good to people.
And here's the thing, really, when you look at the phrase self-care, spiritual self-care, it's almost an oxymoron, because when you hear self, you think of self. You think of you think it should be something done for you, right? When in all actuality, spiritual self-care is totally opposite.
Yeah.
Yes, you are helping yourself. Yes, you are being in tune. Yes, you are becoming more balanced. But what happens is, as you become more spiritually in tuned, you realize that a lot of the things that you do are now outward. Because now you find yourself doing, as my wife just touched on, you're doing more acts of kindness for people. You are checking in on people more. You are praying for people more. You realize that the more your spiritual self-care becomes fortified, your prayer life starts to change. And where you're going for, you're praying less about self and more about others.
Yeah.
Where you're saying, instead of you saying, God, fix this for me, you're saying, God, help me be a help to someone else. Or you're saying, God, fix this for someone else. So that's why also it's so important to make sure your spiritual self-care is aligned, because once again, that balance comes and you start thinking less of self and more of others.
Absolutely. And I think too, reading inspirational books. Read some good inspirational books that's gonna empower you. Yes, there's a whole bunch of books out here that give you motivation and power, but there's so many spiritual books out there that give you so much great power. So you want to do that as well. Again, express gratitude. Call people and say thank you. Text people and say thank you. Love on people as much as you can from where you are. Just because we're in the household mean we can't love on people. Start a gratitude journal about what you're grateful for. And I think we talked about that before you go to bed.
Yeah, I think we did. We touched on it.
Right? A couple of things that you're grateful for before you go to bed. So that's another one. This is what I'm going to start doing. Taking a sabbatical, taking a Sabbath rest.
Oh, you just stole my idea.
And that's real talk. That's real. That's taking sabbatical or a Sabbath day of rest where you unplug from that television.
Yes.
You unplug from the game.
24 hours.
You unplug from your phone, the computer, everything. You unplug and you make an announcement to your family that this is my Sabbath rest, or I'm taking a 24-hour sabbatical. It's not that I don't love y'all, but I'm just not going to. And where you may take a physical rest, where you take a spiritual rest, is whatever that rest that you need. But I believe, my girlfriend tell me she has a guy friend who does this all the time once a week because it recharges you. The word of God said those who be refreshed, others shall be refreshed. And so it's a refreshing. So that is huge for me. Seriously.
Definitely. I would say, family, take 24 hours. Mm-hmm. Turn your phone off.
Everything off.
Turn the news off. Don't read any. And for 24 hours, take all the negative thoughts out. Mm-hmm. Anything that brings you angst, anything that does not bring you joy, anything that takes away from your peace, for 24 hours, remove that from your atmosphere. So if that's Facebook, if that's Instagram, if that's the news, even if it's a person, because we all have that person in our life that they only want to focus on the negative of what's going on, and we love them to death, but that's their entire conversation. Mm-hmm. So for 24 hours, at the beginning, let them know I love you, but for 24 hours, here's what I'm doing.
And here's the thing too, guys, because I know some people are like, well, Facebook doesn't know. Turn it all off. Matter of fact, I don't even if you think it doesn't bring you any negativity or it doesn't unplug yourself. Unplug. Just unplug. Because a lot of times like, well, because Facebook bring me joy. I be seeing TikTok and I be laughing. No. Unplug. And that's what we believe in. I think that's going to be huge. Trying to see if there's anything else that I can think of right now before we go. And once again, I think the only thing I can say, because there's so many, we don't have enough time to go through all of them. But what I will say too is, do me a favor, do not disconnect. Because church doesn't look like what it's supposed to look like, or wherever you worship, because you can't have lunch with your girlfriends, or because things are not looking the way they are still the way, those same people are still around. Call them, do a FaceTime, do a text message, have some fun. My daughter, which is weird, her and her girlfriend have movie night. They've been doing this weird thing. So they turn on this movie, and also, I think she said Facebook, either Netflix or Facebook does it too, where you guys can be all watching the same thing and y'all can chat about it, right? So they still have movie night. Nothing's changed. Do not disconnect from the people who love you. Do not get bogged down. Don't do that. Still continue to do your same routine and keep it as, and you're like, how's that possible? Still get up the same time you've been getting up.
Hold on. I'm going to change that just a little bit though. Some routines need to change. Mm-hmm. Some routines have to change.
Okay.
Yes, we're trying to keep this as normal as possible. But if you're anxious right now, if you're not at peace, if you're unsettled, then that routine needs to change. How you get up in the morning needs to change. Instead of grabbing your phone the first thing when you get up in the morning, stop and just be still. Once you wake up, be still and listen and meditate and pray and talk. And when I say talk, I mean talk to God. And just talk and spend that first 5 to 10 minutes when you first get up before you rush into your day. Spend that first 5 to 10 minutes in peace. Spend that first 5 to 10 minutes meditating. Spend that first 5 to 10 minutes in worship. Spend that first time. Give God his 10% in the beginning. Because there's the things about tithes. Tithes is not just 10% of your earnings. It's just not 10% of what you make. When God says He requires 10%, He's talking about you as well, of your time, and give it to Him first. So when you wake up in the morning, before you rush, because I'm guilty of it myself. But now, especially because we're working from home, even before I wash my face, I'm on my computer. I jump up and I run to my computer because I know there's an email I need to address. There's a meeting I got to get to. I know there's something going on. So I may sound a little hypocritical myself because I know it's something I need to do as well, because there's some routines right now that have to change.
Yeah. So I think that's it, guys. I feel good about it. How you feel?
I think we dropped.
I know some of you guys are like, this is heavy. This is more heavier than you guys normally do. But spiritual self-care is heavy, and we want to make sure that we don't play around with it, that we tell you what the tips that we can give you so you can be balanced. We want you to lean in. We just seen so many people just like, okay, whatever, I don't even care no more. We don't want that to be you. You're our family, and we love you, and we want you to lean in, and we want to tell you we're real guilty in the areas that we're not doing, so we can get better, so we can all hold each other accountable.
Yeah.
Okay?
Right now, family, use this time to fortify yourself. Use this time to fortify, because there's things in life you cannot change. You can't change the stock market. You can't change when stuff is going to open back up. You can't change any of that. But what you can change is how you see it, is your perspective. It's taking care of yourself. That's what you can change. So right now, use this time to fortify yourself in all areas, in your spiritual health, in your mental health, in your physical health, in your relationships. And I know it sounds crazy that I'm a fortified relationship during the time I can't see anybody. Yeah, because in 2020, leverage technology. Use FaceTime, use Zoom, use Skype. Use these things that are out there that's giving people the ability to still connect. Use this time to fortify.
I got it.
All right, babe.
You feel good?
I feel good. Any final thoughts?
No, I'm final thought out.
All right. So, family, as always, we thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Hopefully, you were able to glean something out of this conversation.
Yes.
Please feel free to reach out to us. We're on the socials. We're on Twitter. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook, all under Crenshaw Corner.
Yes.
We have an email address, thecrenshawcorner@gmail.com. thecrenshawcorner@gmail.com. Family, we thank you for listening. And family, welcome to our journey.
We love you guys. Bye.